here I am at the Different Light bookstore here in West Hollywood, and tonight they're going to have a book signing for Farley Granger. He'll be here at 7:30 this evening, and we're going to interview him in a little while. He'll be here. He's been signing books all over L.A., and what's happening, Farley was very good friends with this lady, Shelley Winters. That's one of his loves, and that was one of her loves. And he was a handsome guy. Well, look at that picture. Get a close-up of that shot. Is that a handsome guy? Anyway, the book is out, and the book is called Include Me Out. You know why he said include me out? Because he actually didn't want to know about the gayness of Hollywood. And he really didn't like Hollywood, so he left Hollywood, and that's it. Tonight, we're going to have an in-depth interview with Farley Granger, okay? I'm sitting here with Farley Granger and Rob Calhoun. How are you, Rob?
Fine, thank you. It's great to be here.
You're in town pushing this wonderful book, Farley. It's
Yes,
called
I am.
Include Me Out.
Right.
What a title.
Well, the Goldwyn said that.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, years ago, about some deal they were making at the studio, and he said, "No, include me out."
Oh, okay, okay.
So that was one of his, things that he did all the time.
However, it works on a lot of levels.
Right.
It certainly does. And tell me something about your father. He was a captain in the Army.
Yeah.
And he got a Purple Heart.
Yeah.
And you joined the Navy when? At 20? 19?
No.
18.
18, yeah.
You were, yeah, and you got, evidently, at 18, you didn't have sex until you were 20 or 21. You were thinking of it, but you didn't have it at all.
Those were
There's
innocent
girls.
days.
Those were the innocent days, right?
Innocent days, yeah.
Yeah, those were. You didn't mind me talking about that, did you? Because
No.
Because I just embarrassed you a little, but.
No, he embarrassed me at all.
But I just want to know one thing, Farley. The book is doing extremely well,
Yes.
and
It's a good book.
came to Hollywood after the Navy. You were in Long Beach, and who discovered you actually?
Well, I wasn't in Long Beach.
You weren't
No, I was in the San Fernando Valley.
in the Navy, or
No, he
living?
was
No.
discovered, pardon me for butting in,
No, please do.
but as co-author.
Why not?
He was discovered at age 17 when he was still in high school,
Yeah.
before he went into the Navy.
Oh, so you grew up here in California then?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Okay.
It's changed a great deal.
And he made 2 movies before he went into the Navy.
Right.
He went in as a movie star.
I
into
didn't
the
know
Navy.
that. Oh, that's
Wow.
when you went into as a movie star. And the very, very first film you did for Samuel Goldwyn was
The North Star.
The North Star. My favorite lady, Ann Baxter.
Yes.
She was one of the greatest actresses. Isn't that ironic? She died in New York on the street having a heart attack.
Wow, I didn't
Remember
realize
that? You didn't know that?
No.
It's
No.
her
He-
favorite city too.
He had a huge crush on her, but she was like a year or 2 older than he was, and that difference when you're teenagers is unbridgeable.
Yeah.
She was very sweet to him, but she paid him no real attention.
The movie was very successful.
Yeah.
And then The Rope came.
Rope.
No,
Nope.
then came
The
Louis
night.
Milestone, who directed the first one.
Yeah.
What was the name of it?
The very first one?
The North Star.
The North Star we just talked about. Right.
For Goldwyn requested Farley for a film called The Purple Heart about the first bombing crew
yes.
to
Yeah.
go down in Japan.
That
That
was
was done at 20th right after, and
you-
it was after that he went there.
You've been borrowed out a lot. Warner Brothers, you
Yeah,
know.
but
That's for
not-
Rope. Rope did that.
Yes, Rope and Strangers on a Train.
Train, my
Yeah.
favorite actor, Robert is
Walker.
Walker. One of my
Walker.
favorite people.
Wonderful actor.
A wonderful
Wonderful.
sensitivity about him.
Yeah.
There was such a great sensitivity.
He was wonderful.
I met Jennifer Jones. I've interviewed her several times.
Right.
Yeah.
And we talked about that. And I interviewed his daughter, and also I interviewed Robert Walker Jr. And he looks just like him.
I know.
He lives
I've
in
met him.
Malibu, and he doesn't like the business anymore.
Yeah.
And he's living with his mother, Jennifer Jones, and they're very happy. Wow. And you guys seem happy. You're living in New York.
We live in New York and we lived in Hollywood from like 1965 till 1970.
Right.
And then we lived in Italy from 1970 to 75.
I was there. I remember 70 to 75. You did live there.
We lived right in the
Yeah.
heart of old Rome and
Yes.
loved it.
Loved it. I can't wait to go back.
See, you're in New York, and yeah, Rome is a great city. Paris, I love, but Rome,
Yeah.
it is life there. But Farley, tell me something about Shelley Winters. Shelley Winters is one of your great ladies. Fisky, great. She loved you. You loved her too.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. When I say Shelley Winters, what goes memories? We've lost her. What great memories you have about her?
Oh, well, she was terrific. You know, she. You know, you never knew what she was going to do. You know, she could be happy, and then she could get very sad, and then she could get mad, and.
You met her at her birthday party. I think a birthday party. She was crying, a cupcake or something like that, out on the
Yeah.
strip. And
Yeah.
Shelley just cried and carried on. And
Yeah.
she cries a lot, didn't she? At that.
Well, she didn't like the producers or something, and so she would cry then because she thought they were mean to her, but they weren't really. They were just trying to get something out of her.
Right.
You know.
What did you have learned from Shelley Winters, Farley? Because you went to the Actors Studio in New York. Which Shelley took you, or did you go by yourself? I don't know.
No, I went by myself
You did?
first. Yeah, I was not impressed that much, so I didn't continue going.
So you don't consider yourself at that time a method actor?
Yeah, I was a method actor.
Were you?
But the studio had nothing to do with that. The method actors had been working for years and years and years, you know, before
Right.
the studio.
True.
It was Stella Adler, I
It's
think,
my favorite.
who went to study with
I know who you're talking about. Go ahead.
in Russia.
Russia. That's
with
right.
the
She
head
came
of
back.
the method.
She came back.
She
and
came back and said, "You've
said,
got it all wrong."
That's right. She did. That's right. She was great. I loved her.
She
But
was
Farley
terrific.
studied with Stella Adler as well as Sandy Meisner.
He was
And,
great too.
Yeah.
He was great too.
Yes. I want to talk about Hollywood. You just didn't like it. You just did. You always didn't like it because you grew up here in California.
Mhm.
What made Farley Granger that didn't want to come back, didn't want to see?
I wanted to act in the theater,
You did the theater.
you know, because I felt that I'd have more pleasure, more enjoyment out of it, and more fun, and I proved myself right. You know.
He fell in love with Broadway.
Yes, I did too.
In the specific person of Ethel Merman first, but Broadway in general.
Uh-huh.
And really in Hollywood at that moment in time, the style of acting was changing. Marlon Brando,
Right.
who studied with Stella, and Monty
Yeah.
Clift, who
Monty.
was with the studio.
And he lived in New York until he died, and he was a great New Yorker. He loved New York. And also Roddy McDonald. I just didn't understand why he moved back at the end of his career. Roddy
Yeah.
loved New York
Yeah.
when he was doing his photography.
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew him.
And he
then.
acted in it,
And
too.
yes. Have a favorite film that you've done
I think Strangers on a Train, probably.
with Robert? He never finished
Yeah.
the film. Robert Walker never finished that movie.
Yes, he did.
He did?
Yeah.
He died right after.
Yes, but he finished the
He
movie.
did finish it. I was told that he didn't. And
Well,
okay, go
that's
ahead.
not
I'm
true.
listening to you.
That's not true at all.
It isn't.
No, because I met him several weeks after we finished
Uh-huh.
at a party, and he was very sweet. And he said, "We have to get together. You know, I miss you. I haven't seen you for a while." I said, "I know, I haven't seen you either." And so we said, we'll call, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I knew, that he was dead, and I was really upset.
That's your favorite film?
Yeah,
The Rope
that and They Live by Night, Nick Gray's.
Yeah, that was a great movie. Yeah, it was a wonderful film. The Rope, strange movie, difficult but strange. John Dahl, working with that actor. What did you learn from him?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. You're laughing, Robert. I wanted to know because I thought. Go ahead.
No, Farley has always said that he was a good actor, that he was stage trained, and I think that was his second film. He did The Corn is Green with Betty Davis.
Right,
was his
right.
first
That's
hit.
it. Yeah.
And but they didn't become friends the way he did with Walker. And in fact, with Walker, just to get back to that for 1 second,
Yes.
what the tragedy was that he never lived to see the
the
film released.
Yeah.
Because Walker, all his life, had always been cast as the boy next door, and the Judy Garland movie,
Yeah,
the
Waldorf story.
Clock,
He was so good in that.
yeah, and See Here, Private Hargrove,
Yes,
and
he
everything.
was adorable. He was a good actor.
But the surprise of this film was that Hitch cast him as such a diabolical villain.
Hitch Cab. Yeah,
Yeah,
Hitch.
he
You
was
called him
great.
Hitch.
Hitch.
Tell me about that. How did you get that name Hitch? Did he resent it or he loved it?
No, he loved it.
Did he?
Yeah, people that were
Knew.
close to him called him Hitch.
Hitch.
And during the film and after for a while, I before I came to New York, I was invited there, at least twice a week for dinner at their place, and we had a great time.
Who are some of the people, Farley, at the dinner table those evenings? It must have been glorious in Hollywood those evenings.
No, well, Ingrid Bergman was there.
That's glorious.
And her husband, and that was about it. It was-
Did you ever meet Joan Crawford?
oh yes.
Tell me about her. I met her daughter and I interviewed Christina.
Yeah.
She loved her mother, but she was pretty tough on her mother at
Yeah.
the end. But I thought she was a definite. Oh, it's something about her. I think she was a true movie star.
Yeah.
She worked hard. She was a tough lady. Do you have to be tough to survive here in Hollywood?
To a certain degree, I think so. Yeah, not tough to kill or anything, but I think you have to be yourself. Be your own man or your own woman or whatever, and have the strength to say no to producers or directors or whatever. If you really know what you're doing. A lot of people don't know what they're doing.
Did you like yourself on film at that time, Farley?
I liked myself on film when I was doing something good. Yeah,
You knew that you were doing something good, but when it was bad, you knew, and didn't like it.
No, I didn't like it, but I did the best I could with it.
There was a wonderful movie you and Shelley did. What was a wonderful film? Tell me.
Behave yourself.
I love it with the dog.
Yeah.
I think
Dog
it's
should have been
adorable.
the star.
Yeah, well, it should have been with Shelley's high heels. She's such a camp.
She behaved very badly on that
She did.
film.
Like what?
Oh, so many things. She shut the film down for a
Shut Shelley.
day because she said that Jimmy Wong Howe, the wonderful, marvelous cameraman who I'd worked with many times, said that he was favoring me as we were walking, and he said, "No, I'm not." He said, "You want to look in the camera?" She said, "I don't need to look in the camera. I know." And she left, and so we all had to go home. And then she came the next day and saw the rush that we did, saw the rushes, and she was wrong, of course.
You played tennis, but you got a lesson from one of the world's greatest tennis players ever, Bill Tilton.
Yeah.
Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Well,
You
Charlie.
were filming at the time. You were
No,
doing
no.
no. Okay.
This is before.
This is Eddie Cantor's house.
No.
No?
This was
Charlie
Charlie
Chaplin.
Chaplin.
I meant Charlie Chaplin's house. That's right.
And
He-
he had
okay.
Bill Tilton there, and he was working with him, because because Charlie loved to play tennis, and then I got the movie, you know, and I thought, wow, I should brush up on my tennis. So I took lessons from him.
He was good, huh?
Oh, it was terrific.
Well,
It was
Charlie
marvelous.
Chaplin really did that was a very nice thing he did, because Bill Tilden was then very down on his luck
I know.
and had been
Well, he got in trouble.
arrested. He got in trouble
with a
for
young boy.
with one of the ball boys or
Right,
something like that. And Chaplin went out of his way to help him and to make his court available to Tilden. And Chaplin then called all his friends in Hollywood and said, "Would you like to come and take lessons?"
And everybody took lessons from him. I mean, Katharine Hepburn, I used to see her all the time at the Beverly Hills Hotel, at the tennis court. I knew Bill Tilden. I was a very young guy. I want to talk about living back in New York, my favorite city. That is your favorite city. That is your love of your life, both of you.
Yes.
When you leave New York, you're just camping out, aren't you guys? Believe me, Manhattan is...
I don't say camping out.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't want to use that word, but... Okay, go ahead.
I was born and raised there, so
Me too.
I was born in Brooklyn, a Brooklyn Dodger fan, and
Now, you live next door to the Dakota, and that's a wonderful... You're on 72nd Street?
Yes.
I love that street. And next door to the Dakota... Oh, wow. Where were you when John Lemon got killed? Were you at home in the apartment, or were you... When did you hear the news? Where were you?
Farley was out of town.
Oh, he was.
And I was staying in the apartment with two Airedales that we had that are pictured in the book, as a matter of fact.
Right.
And I took the two Airedales out for a walk, and I didn't hear the shot or anything, but I saw an ambulance sitting in the driveway, and I saw a body being loaded into
You
the ambulance.
did?
And I found out later it was John Lennon.
Wasn't there a crowd at the time?
No, I think
No.
this was when it had just happened.
Just happened. Interesting.
And we had a friend who had an apartment in the Dakota
Yes.
and had us all over for the funeral,
Really?
the memorial service.
Yes,
And remember, we were looking out John's window, and the moment, and it was a cold but sunny day, very clear, and the moment they read the final words of the memorial service, a little gust of almost like a whirlwind of snowflakes went by the window. And that's the absolute truth.
That's interesting. Yeah.
True.
The book is doing so good. It includes me out. I love the book. The great. You're a great writer. Matter of fact, both of you.
Thank
This
you.
together. How long did it take you to do it?
2 years.
2 years, really.
Farley had put all the. It was in the early '90s when I was still
Yeah.
producing. He had a friend out to our country house, a secretary, and she put down every thought he could remember from the days of the
Yes,
movie and the theater and everything. So when we started working on the book, we had a great Bible,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
called it, to draw on.
Robert Calhoun, tell me, you are a director, producer, whatever, soaps in New York. Is that correct?
That's correct. I was
Which-
working here in California
Right.
at the Music Center for Gordon Davidson at the Mark
Right.
Paper. And I was in my mid-40s, and I thought, I love the theater, but it pays very badly.
Doesn't matter. If you love it, you love it. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
but I was in my mid-40s, and I was thinking,
Yeah.
oh, well, I ought to get a little money in the bank. And I had a friend who got me connected with soap operas, and I...
You're doing very well. You've been with it a long time. How did you two... How did you meet? How did you meet?
I was
He was the
connected with Eva Le Gallienne's National Repertory Theater for several years, and Farley joined it in 1963 to star in 3 plays: Arthur Miller's The Crucible, Jean Anouilh's Ring Round the Moon, and Chekhov's The Seagull, and performed it in rotating repertory. and he was terrific in it.
I've seen him in theater, and he is good. I've seen him several theater. You love the theater. I know why you
Yeah.
stayed in Manhattan. Do you miss Hollywood at all?
No,
I like that. Real quick.
no,
No.
I don't.
So you don't have regrets, no regrets at all.
No
about
regrets.
leave, because you left Hollywood, the height of your career, Farley, really. Look how beautiful. And a good actor. Look how gorgeous you are. You were a leading man.
Yeah.
Gorgeous leading man. And difficult living, like, came out, everybody came out. But was it difficult for you to come out?
No,
It wasn't?
no.
Really? Because you're a gentleman. Yeah, I've always
Oh.
known people when they say Farley Granger, they consider you as a gentleman. I used to talk to Shelley about you. We've spent many hours at her house, and we always said, always a gentleman.
Oh, that's very sweet of her.
You met a gentleman, didn't you?
I certainly did. And Farley never really, that's why the title works, Farley never considered himself in the closet.
Isn't it interesting?
The crowd that he ran around with in Hollywood, or that he loved, was a musical crowd. The musicians from New
Yes,
York,
yes,
or
yes,
like Betty
yes,
Comden
yes,
and
yes.
Adolph Green and Leonard Bernstein and
Leonard Bernstein lived in
Gene Kelly.
in the
Kelly.
Dakota.
Yeah, but before that, he lived on 58th Street, and I lived on 58. I think you did too. Did you live on 58 with your dog years ago? I'm talking about in the 50s, maybe, or 40s? No, the 50s. Did you live at Shelley? I stayed at the Park Savoy Hotel. It's a real sleazy little hotel on 58, and I loved it. Actors. Marlon
Yeah.
Brando stayed there too, and Shelley. Oh, she met what's his name? That young guy she did that movie with, the theater on Broadway, Christopher Jones. Remember Christopher?
No.
You don't know. Well, Farley Granger, it was great talking to you
Thank
today.
you,
You're
thank
a
you.
gentleman, and I always
Thank
loved
you.
you. I
So
think
are
you're
you,
just
indeed.
a great guy.
Very nice to meet you.
You're a wonderful man. Wonderful book. I love
Thank you.
I love the book. And we're going to go out there now, huh? We're here at Different Light, and I think the people are waiting for you. And
Got
boy,
one more
you get...
interview to do. And
We have another interview.
Okay? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't
Thank
want to
you.
stay too long. Thank you. You're wonderful.
Thank you.
You'll see the show in New York.
I'm going to repeat them after you so everyone hears it.
My name is Steve, and of course I'm fascinated with you being here this evening. Also, I would like you to just tell a little bit about working with Hitchcock on Rope, and after that, can you explain a little bit Hitchcock's fascination with just go one question at a time. I'm sorry.
No, bring them.
Talk about Hitchcock and working with him on Rope.
The question is, will Farley talk about working with Hitchcock on Rope? I'm sure he will.
I loved Hitchcock, and on Rope we had a difficult time because the set was practically impossible to work in, because all the walls moved, everything moved, the furniture moved, everything did. And a lot of times we'd get it wrong, we'd have to do it again, and you know, it was not a happy experience for Hitch, but he behaved very, very well. Then I did Strangers, and we became really bosom buddies. And I adore and love him, and I adore and love his wife and his daughter. And I was invited to their house a lot of times for dinner, and we'd all get drunk. And he was wonderful, and he was very, very funny. And he had told me also about the Birds. So I knew that he wanted me in the Birds, but I had gotten into plays and I couldn't do it. But if he liked you, he was really great. And if he didn't like you, you knew it. But he would say funny things all the time, you know, and he'd say, it's only a movie. You know, if I blew a line or something, and I'd say, oh God, I'm sorry, Hitch, and he'd say, it's only a movie. You know, he could be just so charming and funny.
I think, for those of you who don't know it, very briefly, rope was an experiment that Hitchcock decided to make a movie that looked like it had no cuts. Well, he couldn't really do a movie with no cuts because a reel of film then was only 10 minutes worth of film. So at the end of the 10 minutes, he would zoom into somebody's black jacket or something like that, and then put on the new reel of film, and he'd be able to move back, and you weren't conscious of there being any cut. Or he'd go onto an inanimate object on the table. But in order to make the tracking shots, because people didn't just stand there and talk, they moved around the room or walked from one place to another, all the scenery was on rollers. There were grips with the furniture that were in the next location that you had to be at, and you just sat down on faith that that would be under your butt when your butt reached the point where the seat should be. And also the lighting technicians had all the lights on big rolling stands, and the lights moved with the actors. So consequently, there were lots of problems with the light not matching from one scene to the next, and they'd have to repeat it. And I think what it was Hitchcock not bit off more than he could chew, because he could obviously chew anything technical, but he was had to be totally absorbed in the technical aspects of that movie rather than enjoy the filmmaking experience himself. On Strangers, Farley said he was much more relaxed, worshipped by the crew because they knew that he knew as much or more than they did about what lens to use.